Alright, let's talk about some fun, cool stuff. So, in this video we're going to talk about how to modify an Empress MIDI box. I'm going to make this kind of long because some of you are kind of confused and want the long answer, and I think you deserve it, so let's talk about it. So we have a MIDI controller. Doesn't matter what MIDI controller. This is a Morningstar MC6. We're going to come out of there with a standard MIDI cable. We're going to go into a MIDI box, in this case the Empress MIDI Box2. Then we're going to take a TRS cable. For those of you that are unfamiliar with TRS cable, it's TRS because it has a tip, a ring, and a sleeve. TRS. And that's kind of the standard way to run MIDI to a Chase Bliss pedal. And when I send a MIDI signal, you see the yellow lights light up because the signal is going into the MIDI box. That's what that indicates. However, on the Therme, when any Chase Bliss pedal receives a MIDI signal, turn this off, the center light will change color. So you see it going through, but we're not getting anything over here. What should happen is that, and then that, but nothing. Now, the reason for that is Empress pedals that this is made for send and receive MIDI on the tip. So in other words, it sends it on the tip of this jack, and it receives it on the tip of the jack of the Empress pedal, so you can get away with just using a standard guitar cable. Chase Bliss pedals receive on the ring, so that's why we have to use a TRS cable in order to access that ring. So this isn't doing it because it's going from the tip here to the ring over here, and it's just going out, floating into space. It ain't working. Now, one way around that is to just use a different cable. This is made by Disaster Area Designs, and it is called on their website, I believe, multi-jack cable for Chase Bliss. I think they're about 15 bucks. But some of you are going to want to use your own TRS cables, so we'll talk about that too. And what this is doing is the sleeve on these are wired together. The tip on this side is just floating. There's nothing wired to it at all. But the tip on this side goes around and hits the ring on this side. So what it's doing is it's basically just transferring the signal from the tip here to the ring over here. So when I plug this cable in, watch what's going to happen. I'm going to send that MIDI signal now. The lights light up showing that it's receiving it. And over here, everything's changing because the signal's going through. Get that where you can see it a little better. Dim the lights. See that? Everything's lighting up together. No problem. Alright, so that's one way around it. But if we want to use our TRS cable, what are we going to do? Well, somehow our friends over at Empress knew that this question was coming, and when you open the back of your MIDI box, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you find the instructions for modifying it clearly printed. Let me get way in on this so you can actually see this, because the rest of our work is going to be up close anyway. Alright, so there's kind of like 3 different lines of instruction here, and what it says is E1, E2, and E3. E1, E2, E3, and E4 are to be solder bridged if using with Empress pedals, otherwise leave open. E1, E2, E3, E4. Oh, I should also point out, each of these groups, so you see these right there, and you got these guys here, these guys here, and these guys here. All these are is lined up in conjunction with each output. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen like how I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but a circuit board mounted jack has like 3 pins on each side, and 2 are for the ring, 2 are for the tip, 2 are for the sleeve. In other words, when you have, sorry, I'm really going for the super long explanation, aren't I? So when you have a cable plugged in, let's just say you're going to go into this right here, and once you have it plugged in, it's going to sit in there like so. Well, let's just look at this one. It's going to sit in there like that, and these contacts are going to line up with the tip, these contacts are going to line up with the ring, these contacts are going to line up with the sleeve. And you can see how, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but look at the ones that line up with the ring. Can you see that okay? The ones lining up with the ring is this middle guy right here. And you're going to see 2 little contacts right there that are not together, but we're going to make them be together. And up here is for Maris, and that's lined up with the tip. That's kind of another conversation. We are going to be focusing on the ring. And to make that, it's got to be those 2 guys down there. So let me get out of here. Now, I've just opened this up for the first time myself, so let's read this. E1, E2, E3, and E4 are to be solder bridged if using with Empress pedals, otherwise leave open. So I think we have to unsolder those. I could be wrong. E9, 10, 11, and 12 are to be solder bridged if using Maris pedals, otherwise leave open. So they're talking about these ones, those ones I talked about that hit the tip. 5, 6, 7, and 8 are to be solder bridged if using CBA pedals, Chase Bliss, otherwise leave open. So we need to leave these open, and we need to bridge these. So let's do that. And to complete that task, kind of out of laziness and kind of so you know you can do this with anything, I grabbed my crappiest old school portable soldering gun, which is like, I never use this thing, but I hope it's going to work. Alright, let's see how to do this. So I'm hoping that I can just get in there, kind of like melt this thing off. Alright, I'm gonna go get some solder wick. I think I need some. Alright, I'm back. So this is solder wick. It's just kind of like braided copper wire. If you don't have this, you can get it just about anywhere, or you can, I don't know, look up online and see what you can use in place of it. Maybe just regular wire, or like metal screen door material might even work. I don't know. Trying to get creative. So what you want to do, heat this up right on top of there, kind of smear it around. You're kind of like wiping it off, basically. And all you want to do is see something between those 2 pads. Can you see right there where the pads are not connecting anymore? All right. I could continue on and do the rest, but I'm just gonna do this one. I'm gonna take this off screen for just a second because I want to look really close and make sure that we're good here. I think we're good. But I'm gonna take one more pass at it just to be sure. So in other words, yeah, I think we're good. Man, these are like microscopic, aren't they? Should have a magnifying glass. Anyways, in other words, I could continue to go along, but that would make like a super long video. So if you want to do all your ports, continue what I've done here. Follow the instructions. You want to take off this one, you want to take off this one, and you want to take off this one. All those should look like the ones below it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these two together. So these two are going to end up looking like this one started out. So let me zoom in on this. And using my super crappy soldering gun. This thing is like super terrible. Especially if you have kind of a decent one downstairs. It's going to be like the worst solder bridge ever. There we go. Alright, so that's all that's supposed to look like. Whoops. Sloppy, but it does the job. And then I'm just, man, I hope those top ones are apart. I think they are. So, and then the other thing is, if you're only doing one, maybe mark it, because when you go to flip this thing over, you could forget which one it is. Because here we're doing like, it gets stuck in your brain that you're doing the left one. And then when you turn it over, you're like, oh, there's the left one. But actually it's this guy. So I just put a little tick mark on it with a Sharpie right there. Right there. Alright, I'm not going to put the back on. Let's just go for it. Because if it's not working, I want to be able to get in there again. Oh, obviously I disconnected power. Anytime you're soldering something like that, you always want to disconnect power so you don't cook something. Alright, getting this all back together. Let me get the camera back up again. Alright, TRS cable. So hopefully now, it's all going to be working right. See? Look, I already did it. Huh? That's the one we want. All right. Oh, you also have to put the MIDI cable in the proper jack. That always helps too. Because that'll give you a false negative. So, the pedal is receiving MIDI. So everything we did there was a success. So, that preset is a standard delay. And this one is with octaves. And now obviously if we are in another jack, it's not going to work. In fact, the pedal's kind of freaking out. The pedal freaks out because it's receiving a signal on the tip and it sends it to the tip, which on here is tapped, so it kind of makes the pedal freak out sometimes. Some of you have experienced that already. But showing also that that center LED is not changing. See, there's some of that freakiness. Look at the tap just going crazy. You can kind of see that. Yeah, I hear that. It's hard to see with the lights, but this thing's just blinking super fast. That's what'll happen sometimes when you get that tip where it shouldn't be. Don't get your tip where it shouldn't be. Anyway, working perfectly now. If you have any questions about this, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say about this. Don't hesitate to ask. I guess I could say another cool thing about this mod is that it's totally reversible. Maybe that's obvious, maybe it isn't, I don't know. This bridge that I created down here, take the power off for a second. This can be, just like we took this one off with the solder wick, we can do the same down here. Take it off and put this one back on, back and forth, whatever. Yeah. Sorry this is such an ugly job, but I'm not in my shop where I have my normal stuff. So that's how you do it. I feel like I just want to ramble on for like another half an hour. Let's not do that.